Hello everyone, thanks for dropping in. We are actually finally going to do an update for my TBR Takedown challenge. If you've kind of hung around the channel for a little bit, I started TBR Takedown September 20th of 2024, and then I promptly never updated it again. I was meaning to, but I think those are the ones that like fall between the cracks so much. I have been reading from my owned unread library. Like I've been reading all the books I'm supposed to be reading. I just haven't been logging anything. So let's just kind of do a quick recap, right? My starting number in September 20th was 1,000 books between my physical, audio, and ebook libraries that I have not read yet. So I have a lot on there that I have read, but I have 1,000 across all platforms that I have not read. So I did like a big purge last year and everything, and now the point of TBR Takedown is to try and pull that number down a lot. Not to 0, because I think that's crazy, but to, I guess 100 is a great goal for right now to be thinking about, but not in a year. So I'm just trying to reduce it as much as I can because I know it's going to be a multiple year project. I'll get better at doing the updates and things like that so that you guys can follow more closely of what's going on. But I think it's another thing of getting used to having a channel and whatever, right? But I started with 1,000, and I don't recall the exact number because I deleted that spreadsheet and started fresh in January, which I warned you guys that I would. I warned you that I would like reset things and start in January so that I could have the full year to like feel out the right goals for myself and so on. So by the end of between end of September and end of December, I got it down from 1,000 to I think it was 985-ish. So I read about 15 books off my TBR Takedown library at that point. Which isn't a bad number at all. In 3 months, I wish it could be a little bit higher, but I had kind of a slump in December, which is why I stopped posting videos. Anyway, also I got a job because I was doing a lot of job hunting and things like that in October. So a lot of my time was then taken up. So now in our January reset, so January 1st, I added all the books that I had hauled in October, November, December, and I recounted all of my libraries to make sure that I had all of the ones in there, and I did miss at least a handful. I think about a dozen I missed, unfortunately. So our starting total for 2025 is 1,060 books on our TBR Takedown library. And it's not a fun number. I wish it could be 1,000 and be even, right? But it's not. So we're taking that number and we're just gonna go with it on the goals for this year. So let's kind of go over our goals. First of all, I think that a good, better, best goal would be good for the number of reads in this. And by the way, we're counting completed, and I probably will refer to it as reads. Completed TBR Takedown books count as if I read them or if I DNF'd them or unhauled them. Those kinds of things, they work for this context. Just because I have had a lot of these books for multiple years. My reading taste has changed over those years, and I don't want to force myself to finish something in order to get it off this number, because if I unhaul it or I DNF it or anything like that, or both, then it should get off of that total number anyway, so that I have a realistic number of what I'm looking at, of what I need to still read or open and try out kind of stuff. So a good, better, best goal for a number of books that I can take off of that list, check them off, is a good goal is 100 stories checked off by the end of 2025. I think that's really reasonable. My average reading for the last 2 or 3 years has been about 70 books per year that I've read. I don't think I've been counting DNFs as that necessarily, depending on the year. So it is an improvement from where I am already. I'm kind of more anticipating that I'm going to be DNFing and unhauling a lot of books because they've been here for so long. So 100 is my good goal. Then my better goal, so good, better, best, better is 250, which is a push. It is, and I know it is, but that sounds like a fun number. Plus, we're talking about over 1,000 books, right? So if I do 250 points off of that total every year, it'll take me still more than 4 years to do it if I'm going to reset with the books I acquire each year anyway. It's gonna take me over 4 years. So then comes to our best goal, which is honestly crazy and unreachable and not gonna happen, but 365 is the best goal because that's finishing, knocking off one book every single day. And for some, that will be easy because some of them are shorter. Some of them are going to be instant DNFs after the first chapter, just because they're not for me, right? So some of them are going to be easy points taken off, but then there comes a point where there's going to be only books that are over 350 pages, books that I'm enjoying, and it takes me a week to read them, like all of those kinds of things. So we're just kind of putting it as a good, better, best goal as 100, 250, and 365. Because even if I read 365 books in a year, that'll take me 3 years to finish this TBR Takedown. And that's a very long, it is. So that's just kind of how I'm approaching it in that way. So that goal, check. So we're talking, next one I have here is rewards. Because I'm not usually a rewards person, honestly, but I was just chatting with my friend about it and she jokingly volunteered her mother because her mom knits with toothpicks sometimes, and like she's made little hats for my friend's flower fairies, like little art projects. So flowers is like the skirt, and so little hats for the tiny fairy heads with toothpicks. And so she found this pattern of a little dragon that goes onto your water bottle, I think. So he's about that big. And so it looks like it has to be either like a teeny crochet hook or toothpick knitting or whatever it is. So she volunteered her mother to, if I get 365 books off of my TBR Takedown list, she'll make her mom make me a little dragon, which is amazing. Really, I can put them on the side of my book, you know? But the second one is for that better goal, so the 250, because I'm trying to reduce my TBR, but at the same time, I have e-readers, they're very helpful, but the Kindle that I've had for years is stuffed full of all of the books from, like, so far. I barely have any books like outside of that are e-books. So I'm trying to like keep that library separate a little bit, and I've been hearing a lot of good things about Kobo. So their Kobo Plus subscription as an author is really appealing to me because it's non-exclusive, but it's a subscription-based service that's actually very affordable. I think it's $8 a month for ebooks and $12 a month for ebooks and audiobooks, like the borrows and things. So that's very appealing to me. So I've been kind of considering getting a Kobo e-reader for that reward, the 250 reward, so that I can then put books that I purchase, if they're available on Kobo, onto my Kobo instead, so that I can have that TBR Takedown one still on my Kindle and keep trying to knock it out, you know? So those are kind of the rewards I'm sitting at right now. So the next one I have written down over here is that I want to get my library total under 1,000. So I know that doesn't seem like a lot if I'm starting at 1,060, but it's including hauled books this year. So I want easily to fit all of my books that I came into this year with all of the books I'm going to purchase this year, because I have 22 Audible credits that I need to be using. There's Sports Romance Con that I went to last week and got 17 books that I'll be hauling soon. Like things like that, right? I'm gonna acquire books. I usually don't acquire that many, but it's just how it's going. So I want my entire total to be under 1,000, which means 60 plus the 17 that I bought last week, plus the 22 credits. So we're already at like what, 60, 80, 100 books. So that's my good goal. So I'm like, you kind of get the picture there. I want to start 2027 or 2026. I don't know why I put 2027 here. I want to start 2026 under 1,000 books, and I want it to be way under 1,000, but that's like official goal, right? And with those kind of knocked out over here on my list, we're just going to go over my monthly stats for 2025. So I'm switching my, excuse me, to my spreadsheet over here. So I'm gonna zoom in so I can see a little bit better. January of 2025, our starting count was 1,060. The amount of owned books I read were 17, and the amount of owned books, so the books I read that are other. So I borrowed them, I bought them, they're not previously owned. 4 for January. And then books I DNF'd or unhauled are 6. And so that's typically gonna be TBR Takedown books, is that DNF unhaul section. Not always, but typically. So we brought our count down from 1,060 to 1,037 in January, which is awesome. I did read like 15 short stories, right? So those are easy pickings for January. No harm, no foul, all good, all good. So that means in February, we started at 1,037. And then the amount of owned books that we read were 7. The amount of other reads we did were 8. And this is because of the Sports Romance Con was going on. So it was a bunch of books that I didn't own before. So I was borrowing them, or I think I mostly borrowed them from Kindle Unlimited so that I could read them before that convention. So that's why that number is so high this month. And then DNF or unhaul books is 4. And really, I'm gonna, spoiler alert, one of those books was a soft DNF that I'm going to be putting back onto, I think it's my May TBR, might be my April. So check out those TBRs and see which one I put back on. But for the purposes of this, we're gonna count it still, because it was a DNF, it was something that I owned, it was on this TBR Takedown library. We'll just have to correct that the month that I do finish the book. So starting count, or DNF unhaul is 4. So our starting count was 1,037, and our end count was, why did it do that? 7, 10, it should be 10. So the starting count for March should be 1,027. I don't know how I messed that math up. Anyway. Sorry, ignore me. So the ending count for February was 1,026. That's what it should have been based on the numbers of the red owned books and the DNF unhauled books that were on there. 1027, which means we're going into March with a starting count of 1,027 books on our TBR Takedown library to continue knocking them down for the year. We're going to add 1 book onto that because of the one I soft DNF'd in February. Yeah, so I know that's kind of confusing, and right now it's March 9th, and I'm going to do my best to film this, obviously, is what I'm doing. I'm gonna edit it today and I'm gonna post it for next Saturday so that you guys can see it, because I haven't read anything in March yet. I do this thing where I kind of crash with reading, and so I did all of that Sports Romance Con reading for over a month, and it was brutal a little bit, right? So and my parents then visited, so I haven't read anything for like 2 weeks. So now I'm getting the itch to read again, which means I should film this today so that I can post it for next week, so that it can then be a fresh start for the next reset month-wise, right? How it falls with the filming and the posting. I will say though, there's not gonna be an update for this in April because I'm moving, and it's like 5 days of driving, 6 days of driving. So it's gonna be brutal. And so I'm not gonna be posting an update to the TBR Takedown until probably the end of May is where I would expect it, maybe the beginning of June. So we're just gonna drop it there for right now. Starting count for 2025 is 1,060, and we've brought our way down to, fixing the soft DNF, 1,028. No, 1,027, I keep messing this up. 1060 to 1027. So 1027 is our March starting count, and we're going to keep breaking that down and hopefully smash it. If in the next couple of months, before I get you guys the update, because it's technically May, April, so 2.5 months, if I can get that under 1,000 for our next update, I think that's a great goal to try and hit. So let's make that the goal. I will see you guys at the end of May, beginning of June with an update, hopefully under 1,000 at that point. Thanks for kind of sticking around through my rambling a little bit and figuring out how I want to structure these updates. If you have any suggestions, drop them down below. Otherwise, I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.